Basicamente, acho que vocês sabem, mas todos nós sabemos, ou pedimos, nós estamos aqui para vos apresentar uma coisa que se chama Elimination. A Natalie é a coordenadora nacional do projeto e estamos, como vocês já perceberam, para convidados internacionais, que vão depois ter a palavra. Eu vou-me calar já e vou chamar o Eduardo, que é o administrador, um dos administradores do Hospital deste Espanha, a quem eu quero agradecer, como é lógico, e dar os parabéns no pessoal do staff que está aqui, pelos seus aqui avanços que tenho mesmo. Portanto, muito obrigado por nos acolherem e muitos parabéns. Portanto, umas palavras de agradecimento.
Como deputado, caros representantes da Universidade das Osna, parceiros deste projeto, primeiro representante de uma série de pessoas que estavam na Espanha, boa tarde a todos e todas, caros colegas. É com enorme satisfação que participo nesta sessão hoje, que tem um significado muito especial. Em primeiro lugar, porque assinalamos os resultados alcançados do projeto, um projeto vencedor, que promove a humanização dos espaços, o bem-estar das nossas crianças, dos nossos jovens, das respectivas famílias e profissionais. Em segundo lugar, porque é o aniversário do Hospital do Nosso Senhor da Sevina e é uma oportunidade enorme para nós celebrarmos e homenagearmos o maior hospital pediátrico português e o seu lugar no ECDF do Sefcic. É também muito inspirador, não é? Ao percebermos que uma rainha chega a Portugal e entende que as crianças é naquele espaço limitado para o seu tratamento, com a sua assistência, portanto, nessa vida na altura, é também muito inspirador no nosso dia-a-dia, percebermos que temos também uma missão e uma visão que há 149 anos havia este curso transformador nas pessoas e nas lideranças, é muito importante para nós, para a equipe pessoal ter este lugar. Ao longo de quase um século e meio, o Hospital do Nosso Senhor tem-se afirmado como uma instituição de referência nacional nos cuidados pediátricos, conhecidos pela excelência, pelo profissionalismo e pela diferenciação de todos os seus profissionais. Consolidou-se como um hospital no qual as pessoas corriam e que responde às situações de maior urgência, mas também às mais raras e às mais complexas. Apesar da sua longa história, o Hospital do Nosso Senhor é também um espaço de modernidade e de inovação, e este projeto é um excelente exemplo disso mesmo. É uma iniciativa que demonstra que inovar também pode passa por transformar a forma como pensamos e organizamos os nossos espaços, tornando o ambiente hospitalar mais positivo, mais acolhedor, mais confortável para a criança, para a família e para a profissão. Quero que ensino que o Conselho de Administração da UEDS São José passar um enorme agradecimento ao Ministério de Woolf, em particular à investigadora Natalie Woolf, por esta parceria estabelecida no âmbito do projeto de investigação internacional que junta 3 países, Portugal, Croácia e Bulgaria. Todos sabemos que as idas ao hospital são muitas vezes associadas a preocupações, a problemas de incerteza, a ansiedades para as crianças e para as suas famílias. É precisamente por isso que este projeto faz a diferença ao transformar as salas de espera em espaços diários. E isto é humanizar os espaços, é aproximá-lo de utentes e melhorar a sua experiência de vida para o hospital. Estou certo que todos ganham com iniciativas como esta. Ganham as crianças e as suas famílias, que aqui incluem as espaços agradáveis e estimulantes. Ganham os profissionais que também desfrutam da transformação do local de trabalho também. E ganha a instituição que reforça a sua missão de lidar para além da doença e de motivar a apesar dos resultados deste projeto, um dia em que apresentamos este resultado destes projetos, um dia em que adicionavam cerca de 149 anos do hospital, mas também é uma oportunidade para reafirmarmos esta instituição em termos de história. Continuarmos a olhar o futuro e levantarmos abordagens que nos colocam sempre as necessidades e diferenças das suas famílias no acerto. Então, em São José, atos como estes não são simplesmente atos simples. Um ato humano. A ULS São José prima-se pelo humanismo e isso diariamente está na nossa missão, na nossa prática diária, dos objetivos institucionais que nós prezamos muito. Colocar o doente e as suas famílias, a criança e a sua família no centro da nossa ação é a missão do ULS São José. E isso não é só um ato Humanista é também um ato de gestão. E quando a gestão dos atos humanísticos andam de mãos dadas, nós sabemos que criamos valor não só nos cuidados especiais, mas também nos cuidados comunitários, nas famílias, no bem-estar, na harmonia da sociedade que sabemos. E por isso, com esta mensagem, pensamento e desejo boas-vindas a esta sessão e dar a parabéns a todos os ouvintes do projeto. E muito obrigado a todos e muitos parabéns ao Hospital da Lisbon. Muito obrigado.
I'll just be very quick in small translation. Não, obrigado. Dr. Eduardo Castela, in the least part there will take you so I've done before it was the hospital MHT. I'm going to summarize through 2 words. He tried, of course, the idea of the hospital as an institution is always well, under the keeping of that here. And the vision that Vingadores de Espanha have a clinic that I'm able for protecting and caring for children, and the contemporary vision for the hospital is also this humanization of the spaces of work, here working spaces. And this is exactly what Chandler see. Para aqueles que não sabem, já agora eu sou Pedro Serrazina, sou diretor de animação do projeto e trabalhei com a Natalie com outras pessoas que estão aqui, que já não interessa. So I'll set up now. I think this is what we need to say at the moment. And I will go straight into inviting Melinda. Actually, maybe I should... Posso falar inglês? Permitem?
Sim.
Vou falar inglês. You know exactly how we make and how we start. So I'll say that in Portuguese. Vou só fazer então um pequeno contexto. Este projeto surge através de uma apresentação que é de Linda, Sefcic, e ela é a Vidakovic que nos acompanha online. Estavam a fazer um festival internacional de Zagreb e elas tinham uma ideia de fazer de facto um projeto para dar, citando as suas palavras, para humanizar os espaços de espera dos hospitais. E na altura andavam à procura de parceiros para se candidatarem a fundos europeus e basicamente eu levantei logo o braço porque eu sou daqueles que acreditam que o cinema de animação tem muitas funções, não só de entretenimento, mas também de funções pedagógicas, sociais, de engajamento com a comunidade e com as instituições, como os hospitais neste caso. E a partir daí, nós tínhamos 2 parceiros, depois precisámos de um terceiro, que é assim que a parceria funciona, obviamente aquela que havia de solucionar, e fomos buscar parceiros da Bulgária, e pronto, deste pequeno consórcio, digamos assim, surgiu a natureza deste projeto, que depois se alarga a uma equipa de psicologia. Agora estou a falar no nosso caso em particular, cada uma das equipas teve várias componentes que depois eles também vão vir a explicar, e portanto havia aqui um lado muito importante que era tornar este projeto não apenas um projeto decorativo, mas um projeto de facto que permitisse que as crianças se relacionassem também com o espaço em si e de alguma maneira esquecessem aquele momento de ansiedade que é estar à espera de um consulta. Pronto, é isso que nos move. Acho que disse tudo o que tinha a dizer, que cada um das equipas agora prepararam melhor do que eu e está no seu próprio sucesso. Por isso, se permitem, vou convidar a Lydia a vir aqui a fazer a sua apresentação. A apresentação até a sala de pronto, isso vai acontecer, ela vai explicar um bocadinho onde é que eles vêm, e depois nós falamos sobre o nosso projeto, o site e disponibilizar, e depois o terceiro mural que será o resultado será apresentado neste quadro. Depois, no final, faremos uma pequena igreja de ordem, gostaríamos que vocês todos participassem e estivessem algum feedback. E pelo meio iremos apresentar algumas das pessoas que trabalham connosco que estão aqui e que têm correto e bem muito obrigado. Muito obrigado pela vossa atenção, Melinda.
This is fast, but I'm going to start here. Hi, hello. Lela is here. She's hearing us.
She's hearing, but we'll have to work out to switch one she speaks.
Okay. So I will start. Thank you for all of you for coming. So I will be here. Let me start. From our side, in Croatia, we conducted, as you can see, 2 workshops with children. they are without parental care. We use some techniques that I use usually in collaboration that I'm doing workshops with children. So we Lab choose the animals, and then the children draw them, and then we will see what Lab did with it. After that, of course, we started with the mural, the animation, but everything was combined. Maybe in our case it was a bit easier because we are collaborating, and I'm working in hospital environment for 10 years, so it was more maybe easier than for the partners. But they will make the presentation afterwards. So as you can see, these are the workshops, and of course here you can see the puppets. So these are the drawings, and then there are made the puppets from them.
Some people may not have seen the murals, so if you have to just...
Yeah, okay. So these are some drawings that children did. We also had the elementary school children and kindergarten children, so 4 groups. And then the mural, as you can see, I did the background, so everything is digital, so I drew all the leaves and the plants and everything that it was needed. I did it with Lab in collaboration. Then all the drawings were scanned, and of course we prepared them for the animations. And this is, I'm so fast, but this is the final mural. So I did the background in collaboration with Lab. We were talking how it should look. We put some black and white parts, and then she decided where the trigger points are going to be, and then I put the animals in, so it was like a really nice collaborative work. And now Lea is starting. Isabella, is she the red top or? This is she really to do.
It should be maybe she let me check. Right.
Natalie, can you hear me?
Yeah.
This is the wrong presentation. So the presentation is titled New Something Something, and then within there is the video. But in case you cannot find, I will improvise something.
Improvise this now. Improvise the religion in Zagreb. So just do this, and I will go quickly. So now, you start. You see.
Okay.
Okay. You see the screen, yeah?
Yeah. I see behind you.
Okay.
Maybe you can see me. No, you cannot see. Okay. Doesn't matter. I see the screen behind you, so I'm just gonna talk over that. So here is where we decided to put the trigger points. We were suspecting that the kids will look at the animals, so we tried to group the animals and put them in different places so that the kids can look for these animals, and then they would trigger the animations. And after that, the Bulgarian team tested our mural, so we can move to the next one. And this test actually proved that we were right. The parts which are red are showing the animals and where the focus was for the kids. So this was really good for us to reassure us that this is a good position. So we moved forward. You can show the next slide. And I created the storyboard. We decided on 8 little animation vignettes, and 4 were made in 2D animation digitally and 4 in stop motion animation with the puppets, because we wanted to test different kind of animation techniques. So that is how the storyboard looked like. And after the storyboards were done, I started to build puppets. And this was one of the most fun part of the project, because we tried to recreate exactly according to the children's drawing. As you can see on the right side, there is a drawing, and then I tried to make as much as possible the same way, the 3-dimensional puppet. And this was a very nice and tactile experience, and we were hoping that this kind of puppet animation will bring this tactility back to the kids. So after this was done, the 2D animation was done in Croatia by Natalie Woolf. She scanned the children's drawings, the next one. So we used exactly the drawings from the kids, and then she scanned them and put them in digitally in After Effects, and there she animated the 2D animation part. And then back in Lisbon, we did the puppet animation with colleagues from Portugal. Here you can see some flags, like multi-plane puppet animation. For the forest environment, we used some of the paper leaves that Melinda pre-painted before. So everything was done on the set, and we also had help. On the next slide, you can see some colleagues from Lusofona. Joao was doing the animation of the puppets, and we also had the help from Ricardo Mata, who was helping us with the lights and with the technical equipment. So after this, the final animations, the stills that you can see here a mix of the techniques that we were experimenting with. On the left are the digital, and on the right side you can see the stop motion part here as well. So this was our approach, and then the AR implementation was done in Croatia. Here we were testing, we imagined that we wanted to bring the kids in with starting from the colorful forest, that we moved inside in a different environment to a black and white forest. So these animations were implemented in Croatia with Vidakovic and Vidakovic as well. And yeah, this was a great dialogue across our countries. And this is what you see behind Melinda. You can play the video. I think it's a video, so this is just one of the animations that you are going to see in Estefania today with the 2D digital part. So yeah, this is from my part. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy. I hope you enjoy.
You finished? Yeah. Okay.
And when I invite Sefcic, Bulgarian soldiers, Lydia and Sevina. Hello everyone. Firstly, I'd like to share some very glad statistics today. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Lydia Tsvetkova, the artist of the Bulgarian mural, and next to me is my professor and also the animation mentor with team, Ivanova. And today we're going to present you these points, but since I mainly worked on the mural part of the project, I would like to share with you how my process went. In the beginning, in our university, in Bulgarian University, we had a competition in which students could join, and we needed to make concepts for a mural for children's hospital. So I researched what kind of patients go to a children's hospital, and it came up that it could range from children to teens, which is a very large gap between them. So I was thinking of making something with fairy tales because we all grew up with fairy tales, and I wanted to make something with a prince and a princess. And another concept of mine is letting the mural be interactive with the lights on outside, so it could change its feel throughout the day. I scrapped the prince and princess idea, but I still kept the light one, and that's why I also wanted to add the light rays coming from throughout the leaves. And we also had seminars with Melinda, which of course helped us a lot. And I believe that's one of the reasons we all managed to create such beautiful illustrations. We exhibited them at our university, and you can see some of them behind us. And at a later date, an international jury announced that they would go forward with my work. So since we knew that the printing was set for December, we not only needed to make sure that the mural was more polished, but that it's also functional. Because as you may know, we have this air part of the project. When working with the artifact app, we need to make sure that the app can read the mural good. So we made a lot of tests from a computer screen and by printing, because the size, the hue, the details, all of them change how the app perceives it. And we also needed to make layout changes to the mural, as you can see here. We needed to make sure that the mural looks good in all countries, especially since in our case, in Bulgaria, we have a door obstructing the mural, and we needed to make extra sure that everything is in the right place. As you may have seen, we also have details to it, which in my original concept did not exist. They were done by Edita, who was also a competitor in the beginning of the competition. And since in her work there were these very beautiful, intricate details, she came to the team to add them in my work as well. And then in May, we had our official presentation in Bulgaria, where the media came and some kids came to see how the Indonesians work. As for the children's workshops, we made 2 of them. One was with kids deprived of parental care, and another with kids with special needs. And these are some of the kids we worked with. Although their work did not go directly into mural, they did give us ideas because in our case we wanted to have characters which are hidden into the animation, and since a lot of them like to draw ladybugs, we added the ladybug into the net. And these are some of their drawings, which are really cute. Great. And that's for the animations in the same everyone.
This is our relation team, as you heard, and the implementation mentor, and this for people are our students. This is our stencil animation. Below them you can see which part is animated. They are now graduates. So during the process, they were 10 of them were students who were 4th year in bachelor program. I met at Cinema in the Bulgarian University. Here you can see two of the final animations. Because we wanted to make full animation, this is digital camera animation, which means you have to make 24 drawings per second, which is quite a lot and very tedious work. We have several finished animations with several animals displayed in the mural, but we wanted to make some interesting, more interesting things, so we added additional 5 hidden animals. Most notably, you can see here the lizard, and of course the famous Melinda. Because Lydia made such a nice and serene, proud mural with beautiful, calm theme to it, we wanted to make this more natural style of animation, where you can observe animals during their own films as you can observe during creation. These are the character sheets, because we have to make sure that each animator knows each angle of the animal it animates. So we needed to make sure that video will prepare for us all the character sheets, and it is 360 degrees per round, 2 characters. These are the color character sheets that was returned by again Vidakovic, who also made the ethos from the mural. Very detailed thing. Of course, we made some storyboards, without the animation, what the animals were going to do, and on the right side you can see in red the path that animals have to go. We made very thorough storyboards. The cognitive study is not a thing that we reached the Bulgarian University, because we have dedicated laboratory. Here you can see the 3 Europe and the 3 countries. And the test was conducted with only 130 participants. This is the eye tracking test, where you can determine the right place for each trigger. This is the place where we can trigger the augmented reality. And we were very, we liked very much how it terms we replace the animals, because they're very easy to see and to trigger animation. These are our triggers, but we have to widen what it will need, because he had a little bit problems with the outdated reality. That. And so we have to now to make a meeting with the Archivite team to determine which things we need to change before things we can some shaky images, we can find some blurry things inside of it. We are very pleased that we made some of these meetings, and as you can see, we are very happy and we are very proud with the things that we do with the mural and the animation. Thank you very much, animation.
Okay, so, sorry for pause. As Pedro said, in Portuguese, but our journey started when we finding when we let Melinda and Leia to join the lovely project which we were super excited about. And we then together successfully after finding for our own motivation, then we test some mysteries, but and then make through the dream because not which it's for promote well-being, and then we also want to use school assessors idea for animation to also help reduce stress for young people like this spaceship. This pilot project helps us to establish how broadly animation could be interpreted in the context, and not just images, but also include natural marks, traces of materials and paintings, and this helped some of the list and design to start developing and grow ahead of that. Following that information and those testing, before those testings could begin, we actually did a roundup of others' animation styles and references. Animation is a reference stage in different ways, and one of our students from the university BA course helped us to select all these amazing terms that we call them, and very psychology team also had actually our student Daniela here has actually helped us research the films, and then our psychology team set out testing now with different music groups to see what was most successful in and useful for that information in when we were starting to develop the approach of designing the hospital installation. Following that, with that research feedback in hand, we started researching for nature in bigger line stage, the local line stage, like was also helped us with that in the search of nature, but also nature that's known as folklore or actually mythical remedies or even food sources. We wanted to bring those familiar things into its context, such as pumping, and so I worked at Festival with 3 students doing Carolina, Leia, Ivanova on developing individual sources to start designing the works of the invention. Then these guys had to go back and do pop-up series work and the ideas and stuff. They finished classes shortest with that, and we started working with the graduate team on the production of the final rural design and the one nation themselves. So these are all the guys that we're involved with. Yes, and we have Anna and so the audience with us today to answering questions and yet anything on the posted in that. So it's a scooping to me.
Yeah.
So to explain our process, the mural itself had to be, we wanted to make sure the walls tolerate sheet by like for feeling that the mural itself had to be constructed layer by layer so that we could then separate those layers so the animations to work in between them. So every single part was hand-drawn or painted digitally and then put together in studio making us like from how Anna and Daniela kind of started planning because what they were then that to make was late Lane from Europe. And we then continued to work together to finalise discussing the position of theories, how the style could be carried out by all the people in the team, not just the character design sheets that you saw at Bulgarian captains saying how they need to be used to show this and we were writing rules for hashtag everyone that's working on the controller design even all the 13 minute area. So we had to find a style that works stand out. And in particular, because I was following some more research, I added botanical lines for some visual definition and also some effectivity, but had been identifying useful elements in terms of keeping attention and keeping the brain busy and focused stimulated in a calm way. So this is how the style developed. And that style was also a bridge between some of the transformational elements that we had, which, for example, you can see the flower and you can see the butterfly that appears within by magic at the flowers with reference in the way and one noise camouflage themselves really successfully note this good butterfly with what second. So, and here you can see us adding some of the lines from the smaller character designs, and so much more of our character designs, and we give pencil sketches all the way from the watercolor, and then they used in parallel as I guess colours. We continue to move backwards and forwards between hand-based and digital work and construction, and you can see some sensitive in the background. We had to see drawing of the scale of the murals just to remind everybody we wanted to create this environment like it showed we felt like they were inside the meadow, and it was and the adults too, bigger than children, bigger than the adults, and you felt and keeping the lamps inside the growing. And this was the important element because following that, and the mural coming together very nicely, we started working on how the triggers would work, and you can see in the shopping list, and maybe you don't know it as well as I do, but we ended up stripping English across the triggers, so and everything. So all the facts of the rolling roll, on the right side there, we transformed to the other side because we felt that it would be more exciting to bring in one of our main characters who bursts in through the undergrowth, according to the left-right side price reading that we have in more attractive. So we'll remove the whole image and swap it around. And we'd already started to identify these areas are going to be interesting in terms of what people will look at to discover the murals, and then we're really helped by the eye tracking again to see exactly where people will pay attention. So once we found our attention points, then we started to not just the individual movements which you would capture to certain trigger points in the mural, but also to feel that the animation would flow completely as a total piece overall if you were standing further back and you kind of set the whole mural in motion as well. So we had triggers that would work specifically for small parts and triggers that would work for bigger groups where we saw more of a mural being taken into account. And we tested and sort of challenged our the act to explore how we could create as much of this mixed together as possible. And you can see here in the final stage with the mural is actually installation hospital, and our particular mural is in the laboratory of drug analysis, and we like this space, which is more on children in now, the same top. But you can see here the animation director Pedro with augmented reality by specialist Carlo testing out those and even at curious patients and patients' parents looking at murals and seeing what they're going to do. And we discovered something we thought was really quite fun. When you use the art in act itself, you can become part of a mural. We tried and you have to collaborate, students. You can't do it on your own. Things directing hours and handling to it higher, a bit lower. And so this is one way we think that her engagement through, although bringing mobile phone sort of essentially to positive aspect, but everyone's always with a mobile phone when we're in this area. But this brings it out into the environment, and it means that people have to engage. Maybe they can start referring to each other, and they can introduce their own boy or own body, climate,
Olympian Visuals by Oxford. So following that, we did 2 workshops here, which is from the workshop because we wanted to have something a little bit more easy and available to test the thing. So we were doing some demonstrations how we augmented reality at work, and I did not just go and literally staff and use that as doctorate and support people more than in what came to experiment with that. And we also had children playing and colouring and making this combination of layers. To understand, it doesn't have to just be a layer through a mobile phone. You can also do shams, and you play on simple technologies, and workshops were run by 2 Neuroback colleagues, myself and Jessica and Brad, helping out with helping out with the children's interactions and play. So we had some good project time, and let's continue. Let's talk. We invite you to follow us on Instagram or see more of the chance to the workshop on the website. But I will say in conclusion that you have seen the 3 partners work and they developed it in the hospital, and we are super excited to understand the results they take. So I'm going to invite speak next in the presentation a colleague from the software who is from the psychology team to talk about the results of the study work.
Thank you. Okay, so hello, everybody. Lydia, so I'm from the psychology team. It's such a pleasure to choose me today. I know that some of you I use only that Zoom or video, and of course it's a great honor to be here at the 2010 and testimony your special day. So our idea is to share a few preliminary results with you, and they are really preliminary. They are being taken from the Urban the data collection, and was conducted until Friday. Is that it for that? Friday. So we have new data coming out, and we are still preparing all this. But still, we have a few results that we want to share with you. They are very inspiring, and I think everyone would like to hear about it. So our idea here was to ultimately respond to a question: can the environment itself become part of the care? Because we are not good, right? So this is the psychology team, and we know that normally when we associate obstacles to something is normally to diagnosis, to treatments, to and technology, and still sometimes we do forget a bit about the children's emotional experience. That's my shape. So waiting for medical care can involve fear, can involve anxiety, sometimes can involve boredom, which is okay, but still, here in psychology we want to understand how small environmental changes can reduce these negative emotions while promoting feeling of safety, curiosity, and well-being. So we started also to listen to children, we prepared questionnaires, we developed a study design, and finally scientifically evaluated or are evaluating its impact. Our goal was not simply to make obstacles attractive, but to understand exactly what improves emotional experience of both children and their parents. Because families value that, right? So first we assessed children and parents before the mirrors were installed. We then repeated the assessment after the intervention. Of course, they were not the same family because we had to collect randomly children and families to invite them to observe the study. So, of course, we had different groups, but still they are very similar in terms of social demographic characteristics, which for scientific people. This before and after design allows us to compare perceptions and emotions and evaluate the impact of nature-inspired animations across in terms of possible settings. We developed a questionnaire covering different dimensions of the hospital experience. We assessed participants' characteristics, also children's emotional well-being, their perception of waiting room, the acceptability of renewal simulations, the engagement with intervention, and its psychological impact. We also had some open-ended questions where they could say whatever they want, and the gradient interval provides some suggestions for improvement of the goals. So this collection took place in two phases. First phase was between October and December, and the second phase was from May to July. The study was carried out in 3 countries, as you know, Portugal, Croatia, and Bulgaria, and it followed the stages I told you earlier. So we asked parents how they would describe their children's mood while waiting for their appointment. And we did it before, as you know, and after. And before the intervention, they say that, as you can see there, normally they are neutral, right? When they look at their children, they think, okay, they are neutral, or they are anxious. So most of them, well, a few of them were calm. That's okay, that's really good, but we are worried about those who are not. So what happened after the murals were installed is quite interesting, because as you can see, they feel more calm. Well, some of them neutral, that's okay, but for me, the most important result here is that the anxiety really decreased. When you look at the pink and red, they really decrease. So that's our goal, okay? So with that result, we are already happy. We also asked parents how they perceive their children's reaction while looking at the murals. The responses were overwhelmingly positive. The emotions mostly frequently reported were curiosity, entertainment, and happiness, suggesting that the artworks successfully captured children's attention and encouraged them to engage with the surroundings, which is the idea. It is also noteworthy that very few parents reported negative emotions, such as nervousness or upset or whatever. So these findings suggest that the murals were more than the decorative elements, right? So they really become meaningfully stimuli that help transform the waiting experience into a more positive one. We also wanted to understand whether the intervention, let's say, interacts with the murals and with the animation, changed the way the waiting room itself was perceived. So both parents and children described the environment more positively after the murals were installed. The waiting room was perceived as more colorful and more welcoming, while it was less often described as cold or dark or small or empty. The signs there, they mean that the difference was significant. So it was a huge difference when we compared the before and the after movies. Importantly, the room itself did not change structurally, right? So what changed was people's experience in that environment. So finding the same pattern in both parents and children responses strengthened this consistency of these findings. In addition to changes in the perception of the environment, we also examined how the intervention influenced children's emotions. The results show a consistent pattern. After the murals were installed, we saw that the children experienced less fear, less anxiety, less boredom, while feeling more entertained during the waiting period, which is, again, very good. We asked also the parents. Well, the difference is not that huge, but still, we wanted to have an impact, especially on the kids, so we did. In addition to the questionnaires, we wanted to hear directly from the children. We asked them what they remember most, what they like most, and what they would change eventually. Their answers were remarkably
Acoustic and touchdown.
children mainly remembered animals, nature, color, movement, which were also the features they enjoyed the most. When asked what they would change, they said most of them nothing at all. Those who suggested improvement did not ask for more technology or for more toys in those rooms. They wanted more people.
So,
That's just the game. And again, this is important because it's impact, right? Because it means that this project already makes some change, and people are providing us direct feedback. They are saying, yes, it's that kind of things that you want. We also asked parents how they would improve pediatric waiting rooms. Their priorities were very clear: more comfort, more space, more opportunities for children to play and to be entertained, and more welcoming environments. These findings remind us that families value not only the quality of the healthcare itself, which is of course the most important thing, but still also the quality of the environment in which the care is delivered. These first findings show that this intervention had a positive and emotional impact on children. We observed less fear, less anxiety, more positive waiting experience. Children developed a clear emotional connection with the nature-inspired outlook. Parents remind us that humanizing hospitals goes beyond staff's work alone. They highlighted the importance of spaces and opportunities for children to play and stay engaged while they wait. So, yes, the environment is part of the outcome, and we hope this project will contribute to creating hospitals that are more human-centric, more welcoming, and better to the needs of children and the family. Because small changes to the environment can make meaningfully and the difference in how children experience hospital care, because caring is not only about treatment, it is also about creating spaces where children feel safer, stronger, and touchy.
So I would like to introduce Edita and so myself to first member of Chairwoman coordinator of family hospitals. I guess speakers from the Municipal Union of all of this, and as these first members under the GU.
Thank you, Natalie. I think we already met during the technical rehearsal, or at least I thought it was technical rehearsal. Unfortunately, I was not able to hear the psychologist's presentation. I was very much interested in understanding the impact of their own work on the users within the hospital's work, but I will ask the results and information a little bit later. But before, I also enjoyed really a lot of the presentations you all gave on the creative role of your work. And I was impressed by co-creation element and children participation. So thank you on your very much important contribution to that. Now I will try to share my presentation, again with visible notes, of course. So once more, thank you for inviting me to share the film in hospital journey. What began more than a decade ago in Croatia as Film u bolnici has since grown into a European initiative. In 2017, three organizations launched the first European cooperation project, and today, Film in Hospital connects cultural organizations and healthcare institutions across 12 countries. As we all know, hospitalization is primarily a medical experience, but we also know from research that it can affect children's emotional well-being, increase anxiety, and disrupt social, educational, and developmental routines. Children are separated from school, friends, play, and participation. Learning is often interrupted, and a sense of normality is lost. This matters because children's well-being is shaped not only by medical treatment, it is also shaped by connection, participation, and emotional support. This is where the Film in Hospital story begins, and this is where Healing Nature and Film in Hospital meet. We all have in mind that the child in the hospital always remains a child, with the need to and the right to imagine, learn, communicate, create, and participate. But rather than first describing to you our program, I would like to show you what cultural participation can look like inside a hospital.
Ik hou al veel van films kijken. Als ik soms net veel of als ik me misselijk voel, dan vergeet ik dat en voel ik me niet meer misselijk.
Las iniciativas como Film Hospital ayudan a mejorar los tiempos de espera, a hacer actividades que para niños son gratificantes, que para niños representan una experiencia positiva, y esto mejora su bienestar emocional, disminuye la ansiedad, puede disminuir también el dolor. Elke moment van de dag, ook als ze zich niet goed voelen in hun bed, kunnen ze eigenlijk juist gewoon zoeken naar iets leuks om te zien of een leuk spelletje om te spelen op het platform. Filmer från hela världen som visas och det kan kompensera för vanliga TV.
Kijk graag avontuurlijke films en ook al veel musicalfilms. Schattige films.
La cura non è soltanto il trattamento farmacologico o la diagnosi o quant'altro, la cura è anche permettere al bambino di poter star bene in un momento in cui non sta bene.
A znamo da ovakve kvalitetne distrakcije kao što je platforma Film u bolnici zapravo omogućuju da djeca i smanje razinu stresa prilikom svojeg liječenja i njege prilikom bolničkog liječenja.
Op de daarbij dat de predika op een manier toch ook kunnen bezighouden worden en toch een ontspannen manier ook. En daarom is film heel belangrijk.
Il mondo si apre, si potenziano le attività e i bambini tornano in camera.
Okay, so Film in Hospital combines curated European films, secure and safe digital access, shared screenings, discussions, workshops, and activities led by trained facilitators and educators. The venue is not replacing another screen inside the hospital. The venue is creating everything that happens around the film. In situations in which much of a child's life is decided by illness, treatment, or institutional routines, cultural participation creates a space in which something is still possible. It offers agency because the child can choose, respond, and form an opinion. It supports identity because the child is recognized as more than a diagnosis or institutional status. It enables expression, including emotions that make it difficult to communicate directly. It creates connection to a shared experience with peers, patients, educators, artists, and hospital staff. But also it supports continuity with learning, imagination, and cultural life outside the institution. Art does not replace medical treatment, psychological support, or education. It protects the space for childhood and development alongside them. All these photographs that you see were taken during a shared film experience in various oncology and pediatric wards in our program. They really capture what cultural participation can restore when much of the child's everyday life is interrupted by illness and treatment. Culture does not remove vulnerability, but it preserves a space for childhood within it. We did a research a few years ago and our research, together with the experts from the Università Cattolica del Sacro Cuore in Italy, that was conducted in 6 countries at the moment, our research showed that emotional involvement and attention were connected with greater enjoyment. That shared viewing was experienced as more rewarding, and that the experience gained value when emotions and learning led to dialogue and expression. Our practical conclusion of that research was very clear. Access to quality content is necessary, but access alone is not enough. The human relationship around the cultural experience makes the difference. So access matters, and participation matters more. The principles are relevant beyond the hospital, these principles that you can see. They can be adapted for children and young people in juvenile justice settings, residential and correctional institutions, refugee reception centers and camps, and other environments in which access to education, culture, social relationship, and personal choice is restricted. The program itself cannot simply be copied from one setting to another. Content, safeguarding language, cultural context, trauma sensitivity, and the form of facilitation must be adopted. But the underlying framework remains relevant. Quality cultural content, safe access, trained youth facilitation, opportunities for shared creative participation, and strong cooperation with the host institution, with the hospital. This approach is not only conceptual. During the 24-26 reporting period, it translated in our project into over 13,000 participants in over 600 screenings, discussions, and workshops across the consortium. This is our contribution to humanizing care through culture. So, in our case, the knowledge is transferable, but the program itself must be adapted. The funding model. The funding model must reflect the value model. European funding, of course, builds common infrastructure and cooperation. Film Hospital has been developed through Creative Europe sub-program Media, which supports European cooperation, film circulation, rights, platforms, shared methodologies, and audience development. National and local cultural and audiovisual funding supports implementation with children, facilitators, screenings, and workshops. But any long-term sustainability also requires health, education, and social care institutions to recognize their role in it through staff time, access, coordination, research, professional development, and integration into institutional practice. The challenge is therefore not to find one funding program that pays for everything. It is to create a shared responsibility between sectors. And once more, you have something that you all know. The culture is not decoration in these environments. It is a way of preserving participation, agency, dignity, and connection. Before thanking you or your kind attention, you can use this QR code to access to our knowledge resources. And to conclude, I'll leave you with a message. Film Hospital should not be understood only as a film project inside hospitals. It offers a transferable framework for keeping culture, learning, and human connection present wherever childhood is interrupted by illness, displacement, or restricted freedom. These are our contact details. Please feel free to get in touch. We would be delighted to continue conversation. And I'm also looking forward to participate in roundtable discussion. Thank you. I will end it now.
Okay, so thanks very much for sharing that project that was to deal with range the projects into involved with at the first. Really interesting, and I think it's very important for us to see our approach to animation and using hands-on technologies to address the creation of safe space and content alongside the work that they've been doing. But also, Edita was very importantly pointed out different ways as well. We try to address different funding streams and try to get the hospitality and the pub giver to keep all in line to cooperate more easily and share intentions together in a way that's quite hard to make happen. So I really want to invite you to speak to our group today to understand, we're not alone in this. She's been campaigning for it for a long time, and it's very nice to see our work in its protective abroad framework of hospital animation, film, everything was got creative really is special to the cultural involvement to this audience, this very specific audience. So thank you so much for taking part in that, for the presentation, as well as this really concludes our conference in general. And what we would like to do now is, I'm going to try to slide up of the QR code, so we can set all of the animations through the phone. Everyone would like to try that. And whilst we do that, I'm going to ask you to gather around together to make this round and visit the team.
Als derde persoon en die studie dan wel eerst in school dan was best een beetje maar het soms steeds en die eerste hobby dat is naar de kies wordt en nog niet dat vemos finance plan die estão no hospital da Espanha que há uns meses e é tracking something that jet então jet traz valor para aquilo que é nós vemos nas nossas paredes. O Hospital da Espanha, o seu hospital de arte, na Sevina, também tem uma parte de criança e pouco, e vai ficar no tipo de arte, que é um sentido European identity, o inicial, era feita na banda. Só que os adaptados com pinturas fortes, então, sim, que não tem uma maneira. Não sei, é agradável, mas é também muito intenso. E isto não pode ser, de parte de boa vontade, de vontade de melhorar a dentro da standard às crianças e mais adequado ao seu desenvolvimento e ao seu bem-estar, mas é feito com base no voluntariado. É feito na base da vontade de ler. E, portanto, o seu carro foi bem à início. O excesso que tem que ser pensado. Aí tem que ser pensado e não pode ser pensado que realmente é total. Tem que ser pensado com base em parcerias e dar articulação a várias inadequadas e a vários paquetes.
Assim que utilizarem então anatologia, mas sociologia, psicologia, há um conjunto entre motores e foram entender a diferença porque as coisas sejam fundamentadas e trabalhadas em conjunto e cada vez já há muito tempo se sabe que o impacto da natureza, por exemplo, da natureza, o exterior, os elementos com o contato foi em ver com as plantas, com a água, com a luz natural, a utilizar o trabalho que são os chamados de as janelas opacas, não muito Lisbon, opacas é da universidade, e também isso há de ter os que se fazem também, quase ninguém que está chamando muito lindo para eu não dizer porque mas tem muito coisa para melhorar. E faz-se um esforço todos os dias. As crianças até atualmente são coisas até ela muito é difícil muito vai ser menos esta coisa para se contar com o da linha mas também podem iniciar na intervenção de equivocados. Se for até saber que não é o que somos de vai ser substituída e digo que aquilo é e tal, e faz muito erros e tal, as coisas restantes estão a ser que questão. Não sei que mal de atividade da minha língua então, a saída ao que trabalho já pensar que da primeira vez das dimensões, outras das experiências são só da medicina, desta tecnologia, não é? Eu acho que isso é isso de fato, o vosso estudo mostrou o impacto, ou seja, já dizer que temos logo a partícula são muito específicos, mas para além do impacto imediato, se as plantas chimeras todas bem articuladas e estruturadas, eles que o senso para o noite e que precisa de a Netflix 4 peças para o lança, porque é fácil cuidar de todos. E os homens de papel, mas se está só. E você vê, não só no imediato, quando está no imediato, mas na chamada, e os básicos também na nuclear, já técnicos já não tinham, não sei se isso tem feito para a vida, isso que eu queria, as pessoas têm essas amigos, essas histórias, e são muitas vezes encontradas e da vez são bons de 30 anos, outros years, that chegam a casa ali, os jovens entendem daqui, da guerra, mas também é muito comunicado. E a chilena livre, o hospital de segunda etapa, e cada vez que ele, você me vai, de maneira que nós temos que estudar o ambiente de segunda casa, não é só o ambiente da sintomada, no ambiente de segunda casa. Eu espero que depois que tal televisão, as nossas vidas no tempo, depois de nós, no ambiente, que coisa bastante dos passeio de lá, e o movimento, e daí que o seu trabalho, da realização e a também do performing e da economia, para a gente passar.
Nelia, I was just trying to be the translator in the house, but that's something that Nelia was saying that was very, very interesting. That I think we all will get it together a bit, which is the necessity, of course, of exploring if it's adult things in the decoration of the ever spaces, but also when we consider new spaces of new articles, thinking about if there's an integrated part of the construction of the building. So that the building becomes that's it. A bigger space. You know, it's not like these old spaces that were like constructed to serve, but also a space that becomes like the second home for the and this notion of the second home is very prevalent in situations where the kids repeatedly are like to special institutions. So this is the challenge. I think we are all facing a challenge in which we are all individually aware, and I know Melinda started with the work in prisons and things then. She's got a big background in this processing, and it's a bit of a fight because sometimes the money is only allocated for the building itself, not to the quality of the repaint history. And this is probably what brings the goals we have here, this kind of intentional. Maybe creating a bit more work, not that many, because the people that are here probably can speak to other people and we need to go on So, and from my perspective, if you allow me, what a source they did, I think this is the better way of getting it as well, because I'm certainly not coming from architecture, so I'm very sensitive to these issues, the topics of public space, visual space. And I think what we're doing is creating a different space in which an erection becomes part of the environment. Not like I think we said at the beginning, not just a wall to distract, not just something that is there to be consumed or to be it's there, but something that also allows for us to back into the soul, for us to play together, for us to interact on. That's an appropriation of the space in the world, and I think this is what we're trying to do, and from an animation perspective, and I know some of my students are there, some probably hear about this. It is important that we are also aware that we serve a community, you go, a role that allows us to be in touch and share spaces that are not always of the same. And the cancer and indication people apart. So I'm thinking too long, but I do this now like to relate to thinking because you think we are almost like a community role at the way of thinking about problems, but what we show.
Look, I think, coming back to this point, I think it should raise and try and phrase within this session of that is that how can we make these things enjoying and maybe Edita has done some crucial comments as well, obviously, added stats on this relation, but I mean, if you think, especially collectively, people have been nice to just for a while, and then it should send me. So what are the obstacles and how can we overcome that? What we're going to see add this lens, this extra layer of some power. So we believe I'm bringing stars of high data that we see the able through, but those actually those that make connectors to go and help them like me. So I'm gonna do you want to say something? Melinda, do you want to say something about for our work? Then honestly, they said that and it can give her a reason. Yeah, I got it. Go to study for it. Are you doing those?
Well, everyone was discussing how we've made some step forwards in finding the evidence to show there's some kind of relationship to contribution, and we're all like not with this approach, but so we want to open the question up a bit and say how can we make these connections work better? What do we need to do? How can we make the institutions and the cultural bodies and public bodies and cultural arenas and all be able to come together to make these things connect better? And Melinda was to say something because she's been working in Muslim schools for 10 years now, so and I was also inviting her to make me pointers about that too. I think they sort of speak there which is not
But maybe Edita, you can see a bit more about what is happening at the EU level because we are involved in culture throughout Europe. Just last year, direct culture and the document was published. What should be done per country towards the part of the EU, yes, Edita, and also the whole group of culture and health. And just, I think 2 weeks ago or something, on the EU level, it's signed by the Ministry of Health and Culture. There is a document that in every EU country, it should be involved, art should be involved in any kind of form. So because now there is a bit of a challenging period because like that, I don't know how to explain it, but there is art therapy and there is art for health. So there is two ways of working hard, we started the art therapy. And now there is that problem how people, that artists can work, like that's the coding instruction, yeah? Work with pictures without the degree of art therapy. And now everything, on the EU level they are doing this. So I hope that in the near future it will be a mandatory thing that art should be involved in every hospital system, like it was back in the 60s, for example. It's a normal thing. But then it just faded out. Somehow they refocused the money on other things. all that now we are bringing that everything back. So, and I think now is the time when Edita, also because we are there, so we know that now is the time because influence of organization, Jubilee Institution, Culture and Health Europe, they're all really forcing that importance of mental health of people, but not just art therapy, okay? These are in diagnostical context, like we are doing. So I think that please.
Yes, can I jump in? Please. Yes. At the European level, this topic is getting more and more attention. Something that starts to get more and more attention usually comes to the question, will there be enough funding schemes for that type of activities? To obtain a funding schemes in the following European financial framework, that starts from 27, it is possible if we collaborate all together in providing something very commonly named evidence of proof. So we need to develop more and more research activities that may prove the impact of our activities on the end users. In our case, we are only having young people, children and young people as our end users. And we do have relevant researchers behind us. But we are also trying to develop and to be more open to all different age groups. So my advice to all of you may be to start developing a Horizon partnership. We all know about the Horizon Call Light, and we all know how difficult it is to obtain funds in that call. The rate is like 2 to 3% of success once you apply. But we're talking about the calls that usually last 2, 3, even 4 years and are developed in a large, different group of stakeholders, and usually involves, of course, researchers, but also practitioners. I see in the room a lot of researchers and medical staff, practitioners, artists, right? So altogether we need to continue that valuable work just to support the European politics in developing these programs. Now, as Melinda said, it's really a good moment for this topic. Culture and health, education, social inclusions, all these terms are part of most of the programs of the European Union. At the moment, there is a first draft of the budget for the next 7 years, and we will see how it will end, because there are always a lot of changes. But this topic will be made, and gradually, we hope, will develop a more substantial, not only framework, but also from the financial point of view. I don't know if I made
That's great.
a good contribution to you. Just ask.
So that's really good. That's very clear that I will just because if anyone got any specific questions if they'd like to ask Edita, well, like, oh, sorry, available right now. Very that's one of my script. Hey, Edita, I think it's good. So that's all.
Okay, so I was just sharing this idea. I think EU, yes, as this new incentive for both researchers and non-researchers, but also industries and private sector is also interested because back in, I don't know, 2 years ago, Fundação La Caixa, which is a foundation funded by a bank, a big bank in Iberian Peninsula, they funded us to use, in this case, 4 types of arts, if you want to say like that, like dance and theater and cinema and visual arts, and to change the idea that we have about stigma in mental health. So it was like nothing was really combined, but they really funded us, and we got a very good incentive for them because they told us as feedback for them this was truly innovative, using arts for whatever you think it's good to change society and mentality and adaptation and quality of life and well-being and so forth. So I think we still have other forms of funding, and also we have to capture the industries and private sector, in my opinion, not only the EU branches.
Of course, I agree totally, yes. And there is this increase of awareness of the importance of the topic, and also the role, what an important role the art and culture can do when dedicated to well-being and also mental health. So these connections are really important, and yes, you're right. This is really like awareness has been changed, yes. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I think one of the issues that we are facing is also that, okay, we've done this. It is true. We're all happy that we have done this. But the question is, like, when we leave this room, will this actually be used? And I am very interested in that. And this is something that I think, it's not my role because I don't work in this institution, but I think that it is very important that the institutions also, for lack of better expression, profits from this in a way that those staff understand that this is a career, that is something that they can use that improves the hospital as a whole. So it's not something that interferes with their daily routine. Because I think that one of the problems, especially in Portugal, but maybe in your countries as well, is that most of the staff is not properly paid for the hours that they dedicate to their job. So there is an overwhelming feeling that they're going between two paths. So when they see probably people like us that we come here and try to put things in the water, that we have mobiles, I think for some of these people that we are even one. And this is understandable. This is not even a criticism. It's like if I am teaching and suddenly a lot of psychologists come to analyze my student, I probably just want them to go away. So there is a kind of a balance that we need to find because point being, I think we need to work on this together so that if all the staff in this org understand that this may have some relevance and it's pretty because there's something. I mean, your hospital that's wrong. Then there's going to be more and more people that will demand the same model. And then more people at higher levels, you'll have to respond to the local people because that's how democracy works. And so this is very powerful. And so in a way, this is our way of thanking all of you that are here, people from outside perspective. Because I think it starts with us. We need to kind of make sure that now this is there, but it's not just us all around, right? Because, we see this, and you guys also that, because we were in Croatia before, and to get it out. But, it's very easy that you come into a room with this, and then you've got shared in project. And this is something that the cleaning lady, it's not. She puts the chair against the wall. But, these small things are part of the problem that we face it, because if we don't face it, this is going to be just a few people just interested in this. So, I know this is a small, petty-minded, not petty-minded, but it's a small detail. But it's also a very important detail, because it's with the detail that we start being the same. And I like to be ambitious, and we are all here working on this for many years. So it's important that this works. So we just post, and if you guys want, I'm to pick you as the embodiment of the institution. But we here also, maybe we can develop more workshops. Maybe we can develop other activities that make this really relevant and part of your life, obviously, not just a mural that I heard it moves. No, it needs to be in. So this is my call of action for all of us here, as she said.
It's also important to communicate about the needs that the hospital and the institution has, because if we don't communicate, we don't know exactly what you need.
And like we might have this sort of view, but we also need to view about you what you need from us. So I think today's interaction, the role that we have every year is so important, and we should generalize it into other obstacles rather than so that complex.
So, se precisarem de mais alguma coisa, nós estamos a I don't know if you heard that, but I think we're probably coming to a close because we've been here for a long time, right?
Just I think again that we can trust in the ways we want to appreciate it.
Daniela is one of our team. She started doing the research, the original research of the materials back then, and worked on the animation and
I was just going to comment that I think something that benefits all of us because we all have these things for safety and there's a lot of I think we can see that in certain hospital environments that have more open spaces and like more lighting that people connect more easily, like older people to people at any age, and I think that's so very crucial because that not only the connection to nature is very helpful, but the connections we get from people interacting at the same time, not feeling so alone, and creating a kind of a healthy way of connecting because hospital environments can be very stressful and very not just stressful in what you do, the exams and all the process you slowly go through, but the suffering you see other people go through. So creating meaningful ways of connections is so important. And I don't know if this is true, but correctly about the come on. As far as that, our break is the invictual. It's the switch your brain to all sides of crimes or the trees, smoke. And obviously, it also includes by meaningful connection is something that's suppressed with the amygdala. So I think it's something just so beneficial because stress debilitates your body even more. And I think it's just so important. One thing that would really with all of them to get this not just saying to be interesting to also bring these type of things like workshop to an older and visual that they're going to make people with chronic illness, people that older people that are dealing with cancer. I think a lot of people with that it's not just about the arts, but this connection that form across the brain. And I think you get more meaningful connections starting because it's very important for the children too, but to get it to everyone, get it to an older audience, like they're going to spread the word out. Yeah.
Acho que muito obrigado a todos.